Okay, let's continue with some more other controls that you have to give you a little more control over your look. Before we do that, let's go back to lines here for just a moment. And in this lines and crosshatch parameters, which we'll go over a little bit later, I just want to show you one thing quickly. See this enable crosshatch? This gives you a second set of lines. And it has its own frequency, its own angle, and its own rotation speed, and some other parameters here. Okay, we'll come back to some of these in a little bit. We did input levels. Let's look at let's go back to our default, and let's actually turn up the frequency a little bit. I hope this survives compression. And let's look at Radial Swirl. Radial Swirl does this. So instead of the rows of dots being, perfectly square, they're kind of swirled. And if you turn on OpenFX overlay, you'll see you get these two. Actually, there's two of them: swirl and scale, and they control where the center is. You can see what's happening here. The swirl is swirling around this point. So if we swirl it a little harder, maybe it'll be even easier to see. So the swirl is swirling around this point, and you can animate it to your heart's content. So that's most of what swirl is. Just one other thing, and that's the swirl fall off. If you do this, if you push it out, you see the center is a little bit less swirled, and the outside is a little more swirled. So that's what swirl fall off does. And you'll see that we have a radial scale that does exactly the same thing, and that's what we'll move on to right now. So we'll turn all this off back to its sort of neutral, and we'll go to radial scale, which does more or less the same thing except around this point. So this makes the dots bigger and smaller the further you go away from the center. See how we have the dots are larger outside and smaller inside, and again, you can control where that focus point is, and you can control how much of the center it takes with it. Okay, so that's those things. Let's go back to, well, let's just neutralize this. And now let's talk about noise displacement. We will enable it. The first thing is, I don't know if you can see it. Well, let's see. Yeah, you can see the pattern is slightly distorted, so they're not straight lines. And you can make it more distorted. And you can change the scale of the noise. So here it is, very small scale noise, but very high amount. So you can change the amount, and you can change the scale. And you can also, if you click this, you can animate it. So when footage is moving, well, let's exaggerate it so we can see what's going on. You get this sort of effect. And again, you can change the scale, and you can change the speed. And you, of course, you can combine all these things. So let's add some swirl to this. So we have swirling animated noise, and let's change to lines. Swirling undulated. So that's all of the main controls. And you can do all kinds of things with this set of controls by mixing and matching the various parameters.